Hello. Welcome back to Are You Ready for Your Inspection podcast. I hope you are well. I hope the sun is shining wherever you are. The sun is shining today, but we've had to, because we're recording the podcast, all the windows are blocked apart from this one. Okay. Anyway, how are you all doing? It's great to speak to you again. I hope you're all good. So today's podcast is a subject that is very close to my heart, and the reason it is very close to my heart, I don't know why. So I'm going to give you the scenario. So probably about a year ago, about a year ago, 18 months ago, I was in my garden at home, and I'm probably going to tell you a little bit more information than I really need to tell you. Anyway, I was in my garden at home and I came across this quiz called Love Languages. Now, those of you who know me, and I can say this on my podcast or on YouTube, is that I love my husband to bits. This is not a therapy podcast, I'm just saying, not a therapy podcast. Is that I did the quiz because I'm not I used to be a really tactile person. Pre-COVID, I was a very tactile person, but since COVID, for some reason, I'm not. I sort of freeze for some reason. I don't know why. Something's happened in my brain, and I'm not as tactile as I probably would like to be, especially when you've got to ask somebody if you could hug them. So anyway, so going back to that, I was sat in the garden. I remember it was summer, sat in the garden, and I did the Love Languages quiz for my relationship with my husband. Now you're listening to this podcast and you are going, what on earth is Vanessa going on about? She has lost the plot. Okay, I can hear you saying it now. If you're listening to this and I'm talking to you and I'm in your ears, I've not lost the plot. You just need to hear me out on this one. Okay, so I did the quiz. It's quite a simple quiz, and Anthony will put it in the show notes for you because I think it's a really good one to do. So the concept, let me just explain to you the concept of love languages, and I wrote this down because I needed to get it right. So it was developed by Gary Chapman in his book, The 5 Languages of Love. The Secret to Love That Lasts. It sounds very much like a marriage counselling book, but it's not. Okay, but he identifies 5 primary ways people express and experience love. These languages are not just applicable to adults. So that got me started thinking. So let's go back to previously. Sat in the garden, doing the quiz, and there are 5 languages of love which Mr. Chapman says. One is words of affirmation, one is quality time, one is receiving gifts, one is acts of service, and one is physical touch. And you do this quiz and it gives you a percentage of where you are. Okay, really, really interesting. So my top, I think it was 99%, which it blew me, was words of affirmation. So the way to express affection would be to praise or thank me, or show those are the ways of showing appreciation. Okay, but what was interesting was I got my husband, Mr. D, he doesn't listen to my podcast, which is a good thing. I got him to do it too, and his was quality time. So he wanted my undivided attention. Now, if you're listening to this and laughing and know me personally, you'll know that for me to sit still for 5 minutes at a time is one of the hardest things ever. Okay, one of the hardest things. And quality time is, oh my God, when it came out, he was really high on quality time, in the fact that he wanted to feel that he had my undivided attention. So I'm going to say this didn't last long. Just going to say it did not last long. I made a point in that summer to actually spend an hour sat down with Mr. D and giving him quality time. I felt I was giving that, but I wanted the words of affirmation back. Okay, so that's that. Anyway, so long story short, I brought it into the office and I wanted it to my team, the jigsaw team, to actually do the love languages. And I'll be honest, when I said to the team, I can hear them now, and literally, I need you to do the love languages quiz. They actually thought I was off my rocker. Okay, they actually thought she's gone off the rails, here she goes. But they did it. And actually, it worked, because actually each one of my team have a different love language, which meant that I could see what was a way that I could express my appreciation to them. So I'm going to give you an example of this, okay? And we joke about this, but Anthony, who's listening to this in his ear, recording this, he likes receiving gifts. That's what he likes to say for a sign of appreciation. He likes to receive gifts. So every now and then I'll put something in on his desk, or I'll give him something. Or classic example of this was last week. Amazon came and delivered a parcel to us that was addressed to us, but it was the wrong thing, whatever it was inside. And I'll tell you what it was, I want to say it was car washer fluid. We don't have car washer fluid, but actually, I don't think it was that. Radiator fluid, something in a great big 5 litre container. And obviously I was thinking, what am I going to do with that? So I gave it to Anthony. Off he trots, off home with his 5 litre, absolutely loving it. And it does make me smile, because the simplest of gifts that I would give him, whereas Louise likes quality time. So if I say to her, right, Louise, we're going to do a training session together, we're going to watch this training, we're going to do something, or we're going to do some videos, or we're going to do some recording, some arty-farty stuff, she will love that. She will love that, okay? So anyway, so then that got me thinking about words of those love languages in early years. So I wrote these down because I think it's really important that we realise, one, if you're listening to the podcast, go and do this for your team. Get your team to find out what their love languages are, because it's really important that you know what way supports them and what way that they like to be appreciated. It's really, really good. However, children, that got me thinking, it can happen with them as well. So, there are some children who don't like to be hugged, or you need to ask for those hugs, or some children, we all have a different way of being shown appreciation. So I'm going to go through, I've written them down here. So words of affirmation is number 1. So this love language involves expressing affection through spoken affection, praise and appreciation. Hashtag Vanessa Dooley. This is me. In an early years setting, practitioners can use positive reinforcement, acknowledging children's efforts verbally, and offer encouragement to build their self-esteem and sense of security. We do that all the time anyway, but some children prefer that than the others. Okay, so I'm going to go through the other bit. Number 2 is quality time. And so this involves giving undivided attention in early years. This can mean engaging activities that the children enjoys, listening to them, being present without distraction, planning activities that allow for one-to-one interaction. So key person time they love, small group time they love, and children then feel valued and understood. So that is quality time. Number 3 is receiving gifts. So for children, this love language is not materialism for the thought behind the gift. So in an early setting, this can translate to giving children small tokens of appreciation. So an example of this would be stickers. Okay, stickers are simple. These are really simple. Handmade certificates, going home, a book that you've chosen specifically for them, especially for them. Those are the things what number 3 means in early years. Number 4 is acts of service. Now my husband thinks, I'm just going to go back to Mr. D. My husband thinks that him hoovering is a way of showing appreciation for me. Well, which makes me laugh because I don't do any hoovering. You crack on with hoovering as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, you kind of expect any thanks from me to say thank you for doing the hoovering. Just get on with it, okay? Anyway, acts of service. This involves showing love through actions that makes life easier or more pleasant. So in early years, in the context of early years, this could mean helping a child learn a new skill, like say for example, learning how to use the scissors is a massive one. Assisting them with a task that they find challenging, doing up their zip on their coat, putting it in and then them pulling it up, that is amazing. Or simply being attentive to their needs and stepping in when they're struggling. Like, can I help you with that? That is acts of service in children, okay? Really good one. The next one is physical touch. Now, we all know if you're listening to this, you need to be asking permission first. If you're asking if you need to do a nappy or if you want to give a hug to a child if they're upset, you need to be asking them first. Okay, physical touch. Appropriate physical affection can convey a lot of love to a child. In early years settings, this can include hugs, pat on the back, or a gentle touch on the arm. Anthony and I, we're not physical touch. We don't like this. Although I could punch his arm. That's not physical touch. I don't know why. My son is the same. I would punch his arm. Don't know why. That's what I do. It's important that any physical touch is appropriate and respectful of the child's personal boundaries and their cultural norms. Okay, so that's something to be mindful of. So what they say is integrating the concept of love languages in early years involves observing and understand each child's unique preference for receiving love and tailoring interactions to meet their emotional needs. By doing so, us as practitioners can create a nurturing environment that supports children's emotional and social development, making them feel valued, understood, and secure. This approach can also encourage positive inclusivity and supportive community within the early setting, where children's emotional language is respected and nurtured. And I wrote that down because that's really important, where child's emotional language is respected and nurtured. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, what on earth is Vanessa going on about? Click on the link in the show notes about the Love Languages quiz. Go and do it. Go and do it with your partner at home, whoever that partner may be. Go and do it with your team, anybody in your room, and actually find out from those children. It's no different, love languages, no different for children learning when we talk about schemas. It's no different when we talk about learning styles, whether it's a visual or auditory or kinesthetic way of learning. It's no different. So yeah, go and have a look, go and have a think, go and have a play around, and let me know. I would be really interested to know what your love language is. Just send me an email. I don't mind. At least I know it means that actually you have listened to the podcast. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching this on YouTube. Make sure you click like and subscribe, which would be amazing because our subscribers have gone up and we love that. But looking at, let me know what your love languages is. I'd be really interested because this is a fascinating subject for me. Fascinating. And I think in the world of early years, it is really important that we recognise and that children need to be respected and nurtured. So that's the podcast from me for this week. Let me know how you get on. I would love to know, and I will see you next week. Take good care.